good. This man is hot. I do push myself to the limits a lot, but that's the way the commercial fishing is. You're gonna push yourself to the limit every year, every day of the year. And I mean, that's the way that you gotta do to make a living.
In the unforgiving swamps of Bayou Sorrel, Willie Edwards built a life deeply connected to tradition. He hunted, survived, and carried forward the ways of his ancestors. To viewers of swamp people, he was the fearless alligator hunter, a symbol of strength, resilience, and family pride. Yet away from the cameras, Willie's story was far more layered. Beyond the hooks, boats, and bayou grit was a history marked by heartbreak, private struggles, and challenges that were never shared with the public. From family losses to persistent rumors and unexpected obstacles, his path has been anything but simple. This leaves fans asking what truly happened to the beloved hunter who once ruled the waters, and why he disappeared so suddenly.
Got 100 tags by myself this year, and we'll see if we can fill them.
Roots of a swamp legend. Willie Edwards was born William Edwards III on June 20, 1982 in Bayou Sorrel, Louisiana. The swamp was not just his childhood home. It was his school, his playground, and the foundation of his identity. Raised by Junior and Teresa Edwards, Willie grew up surrounded by the demanding yet beautiful rhythms of swamp life. His parents were commercial fishers who lived directly from the land and waters, taking what they needed with skill and respect. For the Edwards family, survival was not a choice but a way of life, passed down through generations. When he met his high school sweetheart, Sherry Bonin, Willie began building a family of his own. They married in August of 2000, a union that brought both joy and new responsibility. That same year, they welcomed their first child, Michaela Deshai. The Edwards household grew, but the swamp remained at its center. The family's life was built on love, hard work, and traditions that reached back through the generations.
The weather ain't cooperating right. It ain't gonna be good today, but I'm gonna make it good. I'm gonna go out and travel hook and make everything count.
Yeah, way up there? Where's that? Way up there.
As Willie matured into manhood, he carried with him the weight of expectation. His father, Junior, was known for his strict nature and unbending standards. To live up to the Edwards name meant more than skill. It meant discipline, sacrifice, and the courage to keep pushing forward even when the swamp pushed back. Willie was ready to carry that burden, but he could not have known how much it would shape him in the years ahead. The swamp gave him his foundation. It gave him the tools, the discipline, and the sense of family pride that would guide him. Yet it also prepared him for a stage larger than Bayou Sorrel, one where his skills would be tested before the eyes of the world. Rising into the spotlight. In 2010, Willie Edwards' life changed when the History Channel introduced a new series called Swamp People. The show promised to bring viewers into the dangerous world of alligator hunting in the Atchafalaya Basin, one of the most unforgiving landscapes in America. For Willie, this was not a performance. It was simply the way he had always lived. Yet the cameras transformed him into a figure that millions would soon recognize. From the very first season, Willie appeared alongside his father, Junior. Together, they represented more than just hunters. They embodied a family tradition rooted in survival, grit, and respect for the swamp. Their scenes showed less drama and more methodical preparation. Junior anchored the boat with his steady authority while Willie sharpened hooks, organized gear, and cast lines with growing confidence. It was a portrait of a family passing down knowledge from one generation to the next. By the second season, it became clear that the producers wanted to show Willie stepping into a role of greater responsibility. In one memorable episode, Junior handed his son his very own boat. It was more than a practical gift. It was a public sign that the torch was being passed. Willie was no longer simply a helper under his father's watchful eye. He was now expected to lead, to take risks, and to prove that he could uphold the Edwards name on his own. The early years were filled with both triumphs and mistakes. In the episode Rising Suns, Willie mistakenly chose the wrong shotgun, an error that could have ended the hunt.
Why my gun ain't shaking? My gun ain't shaking a lick.
Instead of faltering, he pushed forward and finished the job. In another season, he worked day and night, taking on extra challenges like snake hunting just to earn more income. These moments revealed a young man determined to succeed, even if it meant exhausting himself in the process. Viewers admired his persistence, but tension simmered between father and son. Junior was old school, firm in his ways, and sometimes critical of Willie's innovations. Willie responded by experimenting with new tools, including lighter treble hooks he designed himself. The differences in approach hinted at a deeper conflict between tradition and independence. Then came one of the most sobering moments of Willie's career. In Season 4, he misjudged a gator, believing it was dead. In an instant, the beast snapped back, crushing his hand and leaving him with severe injuries. The scene shocked audiences and served as a brutal reminder of the dangers he faced every day. Willie endured torn fingers and broken bones, but refused to quit. His resilience in the face of pain only deepened the respect fans held for him. The strain with Junior eventually grew too heavy. Willie, worn down by the physical toll of hunting and the emotional weight of clashing with his father, chose to break away. He walked away from his father's boat, leaving behind dozens of unfilled tags. For any hunter, this was a staggering choice. But for Willie, it was also a declaration. He would chart his own path, succeed or fail on his own terms. That decision marked a turning point. No longer protected by his father's experience, Willie had to rely solely on his own skill and instincts. Yet it also gave him the freedom to prove himself. He was no longer just Junior Edwards' son. He was Willie Edwards, a hunter whose quiet strength and steady nerves would soon make him a fan favorite in his own right. The stage was set. Willie had claimed his independence, but the swamp was not done testing him. What awaited him next would be both the triumph of brotherhood and the weight of unbearable loss. The bond of brothers. When Willie Edwards struck out on his own, he did not face the swamp entirely alone. At his side was his younger brother Randy, a natural partner who shared both the danger and the laughter of life on the water. Where Junior's presence had once dominated the boat, Randy brought a lighter energy, a steady hand, and a brotherly trust that could not be replaced. The Edwards brothers quickly became a beloved duo on Swamp People. Their bond played out in every episode they shared. Willie, with his calm focus, often served as the anchor, while Randy brought an easy smile and a sense of balance. Together, they were efficient, pulling in gators with precision, but they also brought a warmth to the screen. Fans admired not just their skill, but the unspoken rhythm between them, a rhythm only brothers raised side by side could share. Raised in the Atchafalaya under the stern guidance of their father, the brothers had spent their childhood learning how to navigate both water and life. They built traps together, hatched nets, and tested each other in small competitions that sharpened their instincts. When they joined the cast of Swamp People, that shared history translated into a seamless partnership. Every glance across the boat seemed to carry meaning. Every laugh in the middle of a storm felt like proof that family was their true strength. But tragedy struck on September 15, 2018. Randy Edwards died in a car accident in Iberville Parish, Louisiana. He was only 35 years old.
The news that Randy Edwards died was confirmed overnight by other stars of the show, Junior and Willie Edwards' Facebook page.
The news broke quickly, confirmed by a relative's post on Facebook. The post read, "It is in deep sadness that I make this post. Please keep the Edwards family in your prayers, and also please respect their privacy at this time."
Louisiana State Police say Edwards rounded a curve on LA 74 too quick, causing him to lose control of the vehicle.
Within hours, thousands of fans poured out condolences, many calling Randy a quiet hero who had left the world too soon. For Willie, the loss was devastating. Randy had been more than a brother. He was a hunting partner, a confidant, and a piece of home when the swamp turned lonely. The sudden silence, where Randy's voice had once been, left a void that could never be filled. Unlike Troy Landry, who leaned on his sons during hard seasons, or other cast members who stepped back from the spotlight under criticism, Willie carried his grief in silence. On screen, the change was clear. Viewers noticed the vacant look in his eyes, the way his solitary hunts carried an invisible weight. Every cast of the treble hook seemed heavier, as though each throw dragged memories of his brother with it. Fans online rallied around the hashtag Randy Edwards, sharing old clips of the two brothers, creating a virtual memorial that captured their shared legacy. Yet Willie never spoke publicly about his loss. He chose instead to honor Randy in the only way he knew how. He kept hunting. Each day on the swamp became a quiet act of remembrance. Each alligator tagged and pulled into the boat was less about glory and more about endurance. His silence spoke volumes, a resilience that touched audiences even more deeply than words ever could. In the years since Randy's passing, Willie has carried both pride and pain. Pride that their brotherhood had been immortalized on screen for millions to see. Pain that every season without Randy was a reminder of what had been taken. The swamp, once a place of shared laughter, became a mirror of solitude. Still, Willie endured. His hunts became both a livelihood and a living tribute. For fans, he stood as proof that brotherhood never truly dies. In every ripple of the water, in every hook cast, Randy's memory lived on through Willie's quiet perseverance. The loss of Randy marked Willie forever, but it also shaped the man he became. Stronger, quieter, and more determined than ever, he pressed forward, yet the swamp had more trials waiting. Beyond the grief of family, Willie would face the unforgiving dangers of the hunt itself. Keep watching to know the heartbreaking tragedy that happened to Willie, even before the passing of his brother. A father's hidden heartbreak. Behind the rugged image that viewers saw on Swamp People, Willie Edwards carried the quiet weight of personal loss. Away from the cameras, he was not just a hunter chasing alligators across the marsh, but a husband and father whose heart had been scarred in ways the swamp could never reveal. Willie and his wife, Sherry, built a family grounded in love and tradition. Their children were raised with the same connection to the outdoors that had defined generations of Edwards before them. Yet, in 2000, their lives were shaken by tragedy when their first child, Michaela, passed away at a very young age. The Edwards family chose to keep the details of her death private, but the loss left an ache that time could never truly erase. Each year, Sherry's heartfelt words on social media serve as a reminder of the daughter who is gone, but never forgotten. One person said, Though we do not understand why God calls us home early, just know that your family is in my thoughts. For Willie, grief became a silent companion. On television, he carried himself with calm determination, always ready to face danger on the water. Yet, in his private world, he bore the sorrow of a father who had endured one of life's greatest heartbreaks. Even as he guided his sons in the art of the hunt and stood beside his wife with quiet strength, the absence of Michaela was a constant shadow in the family's story. This hidden chapter of his life revealed something deeper about the man behind the boat and the treble hooks. His resilience was not only forged in the swamp, but also in the quiet courage of living with loss. It was a side of Willie Edwards that fans rarely glimpsed, yet it shaped every part of his journey. And while grief defined part of his private life, the swamp soon placed him in moments that tested not just his spirit, but his body as well, pushing him to the very edge of survival. Danger in the swamp. For Willie Edwards, the swamp was never just a workplace. It was a proving ground, where every mistake carried the weight of life or death. The bayou that raised him was beautiful and rich with wildlife. Yet it was also unforgiving. The dangers went far beyond the threat of a gator lurking beneath the surface. Every hunt carried the possibility of disaster. Boat accidents, sudden storms, the slip of a knife, or the snap of an alligator's jaw could change everything in a single second. To step into those waters required courage, but also respect for forces greater than any man. One of the earliest lessons Willie learned came through blood. In one hunt, he thought a gator had been killed, only to discover it still had fight left in its body. In an instant, it lunged, nearly tearing off his fingers and leaving him with deep wounds across his hands. The pain was intense, but what lingered most was the reminder that the swamp punished overconfidence. These animals were apex predators, powerful enough to snap bones with a single bite. Willie carried those scars with him as both a warning and a badge of survival. Fans also remember the infamous battle with a beast known as Leo the lion. The gator's roar echoed through the swamp like thunder, its power shaking even seasoned hunters. Facing Leo meant facing fear itself. Willie pressed forward with steady determination matching instinct against raw force. The catch became legendary not only for its drama, but for what it revealed about Willie. He was a man who met danger head-on, not recklessly, but with steady grit. Another moment etched into memory came with the episode centered on the vampire gator. The hunt was relentless, the gator elusive, and the tension stretched across long hours. Willie's patience was tested as much as his skill. His perseverance turned the tide, and once again, he proved that danger could be faced with focus rather than fear. Later came the eerie waters of the Black Lagoon, a place where every shadow seemed alive. Few hunters dared to push so far into such treacherous ground, but Willie did. That willingness to brave the unknown made him stand apart. Through it all, one symbol remained constant: the treble hook. To outsiders, it was a simple piece of gear, but to Willie, it was much more. Forged by hand, refined through trial and error, and carried with pride, it represented resilience and ingenuity. The treble hook was both weapon and lifeline, a tool that had been passed down and perfected within the Edwards family. Each time Willie set one, he was not only hunting gators, he was anchoring himself to tradition and survival. The swamp demanded respect, and he gave it willingly, knowing it had shaped him into the hunter and man he became. Rumors, absences, and public pressure. Even the strongest hunters cannot escape the pressures that come with being under the constant gaze of the public. For Willie Edwards, this truth became clear when his sudden absences from Swamp People sparked waves of speculation. Viewers who had grown used to his steady presence noticed quickly when he disappeared from episodes. Questions began to circulate online. Was he injured? Was he ill? Had he chosen to leave the show quietly? Without answers, fans began filling the silence with their own stories. For years, fans of Willie Edwards have heard all kinds of rumors. Some whispered that he had vanished. Others even claimed he had passed away. But perhaps the most painful story to circulate was the claim that Willie was battling cancer. No one knows exactly how this rumor began. Maybe someone misread a post on social media or assumed something after seeing a picture. Like so many things online, it simply spread, and fans grew worried. Over and over, they asked the same question. Does Willie Edwards have cancer, just like his father, Junior? The speculation grew even louder after Willie's wife, Sherry Edwards, shared a deeply personal message on Facebook. While she never mentioned names, her words carried the weight of lived experience. She wrote about countless medical tests, the toll of chemo and radiation, and the physical and emotional scars left behind. You do not know what it's like to have fought the fight, or have a loved one who leads or has led a battle against cancer, she explained. Her post struck a chord. Friends and followers responded with love and support, not pressing her for details but offering prayers and encouragement. Sherry never said who in her life had faced cancer, and she didn't need to. The pain and honesty in her words spoke for themselves. What fans need to know is this: Willie Edwards is alive, well, and there is no record of him ever being diagnosed with cancer. The rumors were unfounded, but that doesn't mean Sherry's post lacked meaning. In fact, it highlighted the exhausting reality of living with or alongside cancer, and the hurt caused when strangers spread careless rumors. Willie and Sherry Edwards have been together for over 2 decades. They've weathered long days on the water, years of filming for Swamp People, and the challenges of raising 3 children, all while balancing the pressures of public life. Behind the cameras, theirs is a family that has known both joy and sorrow, victories and struggles. Sherry's words revealed a glimpse of that private world, reminding fans that reality stars are human too. They have fears, they feel pain, and they face battles that cameras never capture. Whether she was speaking about herself or someone close to her, Sherry's message wasn't only about suffering. It was also about survival, resilience, and compassion. She urged others to support their loved ones in the fight against cancer, to show patience and care, and to think before spreading words that may deepen someone's wounds. In the end, the truth is clear. Willie Edwards does not have cancer, but someone close to him has likely faced that dark journey, and that experience shaped Sherry's heartfelt message. Her honesty served as a quiet but powerful reminder that behind the TV appearances and gator hunts, there is a family carrying both burdens and blessings, and a wife who chose to turn her pain into a call for kindness. Passing the torch. In 2019, a new chapter of the Edwards story began when Willie introduced his son, Little Willie, to the world of Swamp People. For viewers, it was more than a fresh face on the boat. It was the continuation of a legacy that had been carefully built through generations of hunters who knew the swamp as both home and battlefield. From the very beginning, it was clear that Little Willie carried the same quiet determination as his father. Every hunt became not only a test of skill, but a rite of passage. Side by side, the 2 men worked the waters, the younger learning patience and precision, while the older guided him with calm authority. Their bond deepened with every catch, each moment revealing the pride Willie felt in teaching his son the traditions that had shaped his own life. Fans witnessed unforgettable scenes that captured this generational passing. One of the most memorable came during season 14, when little Willie hauled in an enormous catch using the goose pipe as bait. The moment was not only a victory over the gator, but a symbol that the son was ready to carry the weight of the family's legacy. Willie's pride was unmistakable. He had given his son the knowledge, the tools, and the faith to step forward as a true Edwards hunter. For Willie, mentoring his son was more than training for television. It was a father's duty, a responsibility to pass on lessons that could not be learned from books or cameras. Every knot tied on a line, every treble hook set in the water, and every decision made in the face of danger carried meaning. He was not simply preparing little Willie for hunts, but for life itself. And as the son grew more confident, the father found joy in stepping back. In little Willie, fans saw the continuation of a story they had cherished for years. A living reminder that the swamp is never just about survival. It is about family, tradition, and the unbreakable bond between generations. Today and tomorrow. Today, Willie Edwards lives more quietly than in the height of his television fame. Between 2024 and 2025, he has stepped into a semi-retired rhythm, balancing hunting with mentoring and family life. He still casts lines into the waters of the bayou, his hands steady on the rope and treble hook. But the urgency has softened. The swamp is no longer a constant battlefield, but a place of reflection. Photographs and posts shared online prove that his fire has not dimmed. Willie continues to bring in catches with the same skill that first made him a fan favorite. Yet there is a gentler side now, one that celebrates watching his son step forward while he takes pride in the role of mentor. The questions remain. Will Willie fully pass the torch and retire from the front lines of the swamp? Will he one day return to swamp people for another season? Or will his legacy be carried entirely by little Willie and the generations that follow? These questions linger like ripples on the water, unanswered but full of promise. What is certain is that Willie Edwards has already secured his place in the story of Louisiana's swamps. He is not only a hunter, but a man who endured pain, loss, and danger while holding tightly to family and tradition. Today, he may live more quietly, but tomorrow his influence will still echo through every hook cast, every lesson passed down, and every story told.